Hey guys, so I'm going to show you how to draw the proportions of a portrait. This first video, we're going to look at the proportions of a face looking straight forward. So 2D proportions from the front view. So the very first step we need to do is create the basic shape of the head. To do that, we're going to create an egg shape. You can see I'm using very sketchy lines here. It's best if you use pencil when you're doing any sort of face drawing in general. Pencil's great because you can erase, or if you're using a digital program like I am right now, just make sure you have that eraser tool handy dandy. I am using Klecky.com, which is a nice free program that you can find online, but any digital program works as well. So now you can see I have this upside down egg shape. It's a little bit wider on the top, a little bit thinner on the bottom. This is going to be the base of our head. Now you can also see that I gave some room on the bottom because we are going to draw a neck and a little bit of shoulders. So we want to give ourselves space for that. So what we're going to be doing with this face is kind of laying out the proportions. This isn't going to be how to draw each of the features, but instead it's how to draw where each of those features land on the face. So to do that, we first need to give ourselves some guidelines. I'm going to change color here. And our first guideline, we need to land halfway into the head. So you can see I'm kind of creating these brackets so that I can see it visually. Where is halfway? Right here, trying to be as close to the middle as I can, creating these nice vertical line in the middle, splitting the face in half. We also want to create that same halfway proportion, but having a horizontal line, so splitting the face in half this way. So where is half? It looks about here. 1/2. And once again, creating those nice, soft guidelines across the face. So now I've split the face in half with a vertical line and split the face in half with a horizontal line. Now again, this is all kind of rough proportions. It's not perfect. I could be perfect if I wanted to, but that's not fun. So again, we're roughing it out. Now that we have our guidelines, we can start putting in where these facial features are going to land. So the facial features we're looking at drawing are the eyes, the nose, the mouth, the ears, and the eyebrows. And then we'll add hairline as well. We're actually going to start with another guideline, hooray, but we need to figure out where the nose is going to be. Because once we figure out where the nose is going to land, we get to kind of figure out where all the other proportions land as well. So the nose is going to occupy space in the bottom half of the face. So I need to look at the bottom half of the face. So you can see I'm creating more guidelines. And about halfway down in the bottom half here, I'm going to put a small line halfway down in the bottom half of the face. That's going to be the bottom of the nose. And we're going to come back to the bottom of the nose, but right now we're putting a halfway mark right there, halfway in the bottom half of the face. I know I'm saying half a lot, but that's what we're doing. We're just splitting the face up a bunch of different ways, so it's really easy to visualize. The next one is where the heck the mouth is going to land. And the mouth, get ready, more brackets. The mouth is going to take up space below the nose. So I'm breaking up the space between the bottom of the nose and the bottom of the chin. And the mouth is going to land about 1/3, different number here, 1/3 of the way down. The mouth line is going to be right below there. I'm not extending that line out yet because we need to figure out where our eyes are in order to figure out how wide our mouth is and how wide our nose is. Speaking of eyes, let's move up to that. So the eyes are a little bit tricky because when we look at ourselves in the mirror, we think, wow, okay, our eyes are pretty far up on our face. They occupy probably somewhere in the top half. But that's our hair playing tricks on us. So the eyes actually land directly in the middle of the face. So when we draw an eye, I recommend watching first and then going back and kind of seeing what I'm doing. When we're drawing an eye, the top lid, we're going basic almond shape here. The top lid occupies a little bit above that middle line. The bottom lid only kind of dips down a little bit. So again, the top lid goes a little bit higher above that middle line. The bottom lid goes a little bit less below the middle line. But that eyeball is sitting exactly in the middle of the face. So I have right now one eye. Okay, fantastic. How the heck do I put that second eye? The second eye is actually, I'm going to put some dots to kind of show you where it lands. I lied, no dots, actual lines. But the second eye is actually about an eye width away from the first. So I can fit an entire third eye in between that first eye I drew. So once again, top lid going above, bottom lid slightly below that middle line, coming through and kind of cleaning up. That's why we like our erasers. And then I'm getting rid of my all-seeing third eye. And there we go. Now you can see I'm looking at it and I think, ooh, man, that eye is a little bit too far over. And that's because I put my one on the right a little bit too close. So I'm going to fix it. So if you see that doesn't look right, you can fix it. So like so. Just base visually, that looks a little bit better. And I can still fit an entire third eye in between. Get rid of those. As far as space on the side, you should have about half of an eye length away from the sides of the face where the temple is. So if you're wondering about that proportion, it's a whole eye in between, half an eye on each side. Looking very alien right there for a second, but I don't want those guidelines. I want to keep my eye very clear right there. So I got the eyes. Hooray! Our next step, we're going to come back to the nose. Going back to my green. Going back to the nose, we need to figure out how wide is our nose. Now, once we start putting in details of facial features, this is something that you can play around with every single different drawing you do because every person looks different and every person's proportions are different. However, this is just kind of generalized basic proportions. And for our generalized proportions, our nose is going to land in between the corners of our eyes. So it looks like it's crying right now, but I'm going to extend that line out. And this is where you can really see that my left eye is a little bit too far over. Bring it in. There we go. So the bottom of the nose there lands in between the insides of the eye. So we have bottom of the nose. Now we need to figure out how high up does that nose go. Now roughly, the top of the nose where it kind of starts connecting to the eyebrows is going to land exactly in that same eyebrow line, which is about a whole eye width, so about this width here, a whole eye width above. So I'm actually adding eyebrows right now. This is the eyebrow line, about an entire eye size away from our eye. And again, this can be really different on every person. It could be a whole eye, it could be half an eye. They could sit right on top of the eye. But again, for generic person, he's sitting about a whole eye away. And when I'm talking about the size of an eye, again, I mean this way. So for this drawing in particular, for the nose, we're not going to rough out the details. I will show more about how to draw a nose in a later video. But for now, we're just going to make the nose a triangle. And we're going to connect, same level as our eyebrows. Connect some lines down to that bottom of the nose that fits in between the eyes. And those eyebrow lines up there. Looking a little bit like a Muppet, but she's fine, she's pretty. That's going to be where our nose lands. Again, this is not what a nose looks like. The triangle is just nice to visualize where it occupies space. We're going to jump down to the mouth again. And the mouth, it always looks like it goes a lot further than we think it's going to, but the mouth lands all the way to the middle of the eyes. So you can see I'm drawing some reference lines again. The mouth is going to extend all the way to the middle of those eyes. And I know that looks a little bit silly right now. We don't think our mouths are that long. But if you look in the mirror, you will notice, if you look straight on, that your eye, the middle of your eye, meets the corners of your mouth. So that's the length of the mouth. For basic lip shape, we'll get into it a little bit more, but the basic lip shape, you're seeing kind of a triangle shape on each side where it peaks up like so and then valleys down to that corner. So peaking up and going down. Again, I'm not going too detailed on lip shape right now, just to kind of visualize what the lips end up looking like. It's not a perfect triangle. What I often see people do is this like way perfect triangle like that. No, that's not how you do it. The shape starts a little bit higher up, close to the center, and then gradually moves down like so. For the bottom of the lip, you go roughly the same height that you gave to the top of the lip. You just bring down, and I'm going to just put a mark for that bottom of the lip and kind of just a little bit of curling so it looks like a lip. I'm not extending it out like that because it looks a little bit silly because it's more of a value thing than a line thing. But again, this is just proportions. All right, so we have eyes, we have nose, we have lips, we have eyebrows. We got to do the ear. So the ear, what color have I not used? Yellow. The ear lands exactly in between the eyebrow and the bottom of the nose. So we're going to see that ear occupy the space between the eyebrows and the bottom of the nose. So when I start drawing the ear doesn't go out like that. That would be crazy. The ear peaks up, kind of like our lip, and then sort of hugs the face a little bit, creating almost this like paper clip type shape. Everyone's ears is very different, but the point is that I'm fitting the ear inside of the zone between the eyebrow and the bottom of the nose. Again, the ear peeking up and curling around until I reach the bottom of the nose. And again, basic ear shape, you can do kind of a C, a hooked C, like I said, a paper clip. It's kind of a weird flattened C shape. But as long as it fits between the eyebrow and the bottom of the nose, you're good to go, keeping it closer to the face. All right, so our next thing is going to be the neck. So much learning, I know. So I'm zooming out a little bit to get back to that neck. And for our necks, this is really dependent on how you're viewing the person, what angle they're at. But for this straight on view, we're going to use our eyes again. as our marker, and we're going to use the outside edge of our eyes. So the very outer edge, outer rim, very outside point of our eyes is going to be where our necks stem from. And I'm just doing some straight down lines for the neck. The length of the neck, again, is very dependent per person. I like to give a little bit longer necks in my style of art, so I try to shorten them up when I show this realistic stuff. They don't often extend much past the chin, but I'm going to give it just a little bit of length. Just a little bit. Not extending too far past the chin, just enough. And then we're going to keep that going. I'm going to do that in black now so we can see it as part of the drawing. We're going to keep it going with our shoulders. Shoulders are really weird because we think they either stick straight out or people like to hook them way down, and they are neither. They kind of curl a little bit as you reach the neck. Sometimes the neck extends into those shoulders. But they're very similar to the shape of hangers, and that's why hangers are shaped the way they are, right? Is to hold your clothes to keep it in shape with humans. So you can see I'm giving this little tiny curl to it where it's curling in that way and then going out that way. Curling in that way, going out. You can see it's got a little bump to it. Just like so. I'm not making it too straight out. I'm not making it slant down too much. It's just sitting nice, right, and pretty. And I'm not going to give the full shoulder. I'm actually going to cut this off because we are going to be sculpting a bust here. So when we sculpt our bust, it's going to be about there where we cut it off. So that's going to be roughly all you need to know for our sculpture. One last piece of detail on the neck and shoulder area is collarbone. So collarbone is the bone that lands right around this zone. To figure out where the collarbone goes, I typically draw, this is kind of side information that'll make the sculpture better. I typically draw a triangle down, kind of like the nose, but upside down, until I reach the bottom neck area, extending a little bit out. The collarbone has this little hooked, like if you were dividing, right? The division symbol, kind of like that. And it extends up towards the shoulder. So it creates kind of a star. Oops. Forgot to change colors. Kind of creates this like star-ish look, almost. This is something that we'll end up sculpting in to our bust figures, but often is something that you hide in drawings because of skin covering up most of that area. But just as that reference point. So that's it on our neck and shoulder area. Our very last thing we're going to is the hairline. And the hairline, and a hairline, just FYI, is where the hair occupies on the head. So the hair will extend from this hairline. When we draw hair, a lot of people are like, I don't know how to draw hair. So they end up doing this thing where they start on the top of the head, or maybe they do bangs like that. And that's all inaccurate. It's a good start, but if we want it to be really good proportions here, we are going to base it off of the hairline. Hairline, we're looking at the top, let me move that, the top half of our head. So that very top area. And the hairline's going to occupy about 1/3 of the way down. About 1/3 of the way down, I'm going to put this little mark here. And that's kind of where your hair starts. So you're giving enough space for forehead. And your hair starts a little bit further down onto the head than we think. The rough shape of a hairline, kind of this straight across until you hit the sides of the head, and then it follows the shape of the head down to the ears. So that's the rough shape of hairline. Once again, hairlines are very different per person, so I'm not going too detailed about that. But that goes over the basic hairline shape. From there, when you start drawing hair, this is if you were to continue drawing hair. We're not drawing hair on this one. But from there, you can do all of your hair starting from this hairline. Those are terrible lines, but you get the point. So there is our finished proportions of the front of a human face. Rewatch any part that you need to go over again, taking a look at any of those proportions. I know it may look weird right now, but as you practice this and you get used to these proportions, it becomes really easy to draw and sculpt the human face. Thank you.